Hello everyone and welcome back to another Anything Joe's Unboxing. My name is Greg Engel and I'll be your unboxer today. Today we're taking a look at another 2-pack. There's been a lot of 2-packs and deluxes coming out recently, and the one that we're looking at today is Sergeant Slaughter and Felix Mercer Stratton. If I had known when they started using the full names of these characters how many real names of Joes I would learn as a result, I think I would have preferred it earlier on, because it's crazy how much they're attached to their real name now. Before we get into this, I normally just dive right in because I just want to get right into it. I want to say up front that I disagree with this as a 2-pack on principle. On recent figures that we've looked at, a lot of it has made sense. It makes sense for Slice and Dice to come together. It would make sense for a Tomax and Zaymok 2-pack. Those are characters that belong together. And I'm not saying these two characters don't belong together, because they clearly are part of the same subgroup. But this is our third Sergeant Slaughter, and I have no true motivation for this figure at all. I don't need a third Sarge. I love Sergeant Slaughter, nothing against him at all. But I have the Sergeant Slaughter that I'm going to display. And this one's not even really based off of another existing figure that I can tell. So I feel a little bamboozled because I have to have Mercer, right? It's his first figure, so he's a no-brainer. So I feel forced to buy the Sarge as a result, and I do not agree with that. I think a 3-pack with just the Slaughter's Marauders or the Renegades would have been the better choice. This is just a little transparent in terms of salesmanship, in my opinion, but maybe you guys feel differently. Maybe when I get Sarge out of the box, I'll be like, oh yeah, this is the best one. I very seriously doubt it, but he does look like a good figure. I'm not going to deny that. With that out of the way, let's open these guys up and see what's what. The Sergeant Slaughter and Mercer 2-pack looks just like every other 2-pack. I'm not going to spend any time looking at this stuff because we're going to open it right up and look at it, but you do get quite a bit of accessories with this bad boy. This pack is where's the number? 173. This is another 2-pack where 2 figures get assigned 1 number, which I feel like is going to be confusing down the road. We can see that I skipped over their stats, but they have their stats right there, and then we have their combined card art, and of course the QR code, which I've never noticed has the little G.I. Joe logo right in the center. On the back, we can see some of the highlights. This is the let's take a close look. You can see that there's a Slaughterhouse sign in the back. They're all geared up. There's some Treble Bubble flat pods going on. Cool Cobra base built into the mountain way back there. Great diode shot. The stuff they really want you to know about, the tattoos. Great, we'll get into that. Slaughter's alternate caps, which I do think are awesome, and for some reason these bullets, I guess, are a big selling point. They got to work on that. This side is a closer look at the art, which I think looks pretty good. Mercer, I feel a little differently about. These are almost too digital for me. I'm not accusing them of being AI, but they're super airbrushy looking. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? Unless you like legal crap, in which case, here you go. Otherwise, let's open these guys up and see what's inside. Accessories included with the Sergeant Slaughter Mercer 2-pack are an alternate head for Sergeant Slaughter, an alternate head for Mercer, a cargo backpack, Sarge's iconic hat, Sarge's less iconic beret, a leatherneck-esque style hat, a pair of goggles for Mercer, Sarge's iconic baton. I had to do a double take on this, but there's 5 alternate hands. 3 for punching, 1 for chopping or saluting, and 1 for holding a gun. For whatever reason, the box accredits 3 of them to the Sarge and 2 of them to Mercer, but based on skin tone, I think you could just do whatever you want to with them. Multiple different styles of guns in different colors and shapes. This one is very futuristic, like a laser rifle. This one is more grounded in reality with the scope and the stock. And then this one, which was featured on the back of the box, looks like some kind of shotgun, maybe? I don't know. These are all a little too new looking for me to base them on a realistic weapon. Not that I'm any sort of gun expert, but I can name an M16 when I see it. So a total of 5 I mean, kind of like medium-sized weapons. This is like a, almost looks like the alley viper gun a little bit, which I, again, don't, unfortunately, do not know the name of that gun. Then we've got a pistol, a silencer, a second silencer, two different knives, one sweet revolver, and one gun. I'm not sure what you call this, a barrel, a caddy, a gun, and one ammunition canister. All right, so let's take a look at the Sarge first. Sarge has got removable glasses, but this particular head, the whistle is just part of the thing. The whistle is not coming out. You can see that the cord moves with it, which I do like, but he is permanently blowing that whistle. I'm going to immediately swap that out because I just can't envision me displaying it like that. There we go. And that'll give you a chance to also see what he looks like with kind of like, I'm going to use air quotes here, but this is kind of what he looks like when he's just got his normal face on. It's actually a really great, like, he's got a really great expression here. He just looks tough and angry. So, standard stuff, right? Let's take a look. We've got our butterfly joints. Not as well concealed as the normal, but that's okay. Here's our bicep swivel. Our double pinless. Great bendability on that. I love that. I love it when a figure doesn't have to be boiled. There's a little bit of, you'll have some issues with that, I guess, if you're trying to get him straight through, but he could reach back reasonably well, I would say. Just not as well as others in this line. Here's our hand pivot and our back and forth on that. Same over here. We look at our head and neck joint. Goes all the way around. Very good. And nothing really in the way here for that. There's our ab crunch. 50 sit-up soldier. And then that far back. Our legs. Let's check our knees. Also very good. We've got this little guy and our up and down with a little back and forth. A lot of back and forth. Holy smokes. Come on, Sarge, you limber fool. All right, let's take a look at the overall design. So it's a pretty streamlined figure, right? I mean, I haven't loaded him up with anything, but he's wearing a brown, just this regular brown shirt with like cut off sleeves because he's such a baller. He's got just his like bandolier of ammunition, and that's pretty much it, man. He's got nothing going on other than his just like little wristwatch communicator. He wears two of them because it's always time for the Sarge. He's got on his belt, we see a bunch of different little pouches. On the back, we have some nice green colored grenades. I'm a real big, now that they've started doing this, I always notice when they don't. It really stands out and I like it. Got some butt pockets. Got our desert camo. And then he's got a holster here for one of the bigger guns, clearly. Probably that shotgun looking weapon. And then this is for one of the two knives. We'll see which one goes where in just a second. This desert camo we'll look at when we look at some other figures, but it's very reminiscent of like a Valor versus Venom era paint scheme. And if you're a hardcore enthusiast, you might already know what I'm thinking of, but we'll take a look at that as well. But this is a cool desert camo. Like, I think that's what it's called. It might have a very specific name, but it's obviously intended for desert, sand, that type of stuff. It will be great with those desert scorpions that are already shipping out right now. Then he's got his basic brown boots, and that's it, baby. Sarge in charge. Not a lot to it, but it's nothing. There's nothing wrong with this figure, right? I'm bemoaning the fact that I did not really need this in my collection. But if you didn't have a Sarge up to this point, if you are into this design, it's a good, solid figure. He looks great. The face looks awesome. Let's take a look at him all geared up. Sarge's glasses are shaped like crap, and now that I've removed them, I immediately regret it because I don't know if I'll be able to get them back on. Look at how off. This is like buzzer goggles all over again. Look at how warped it looks. They must have had some kind of like, there's like a little, what's that little dot? Is that what maybe was holding it on his head? Or is that just another flaw in it? So yeah, I don't even know if I can get his glasses back on, guys. Look at this, man. What is this? What's going on? That's not rigged, man. This side is like kind of where it should be. This side is in another equator. Ugh. That's a pretty big deal breaker for me, if I'm being quite honest. Guys, this sucks, and I'm absolutely not afraid to put you all on blast on it. I'm trying to like tuck it up under the hat so the hat will hold it in. It does not look, I mean, it's okay, I guess, but it's not sitting on his face right. If I take the hat off, I just like it's not gonna hold, not for long, and certainly not under any duress. So that needs some work. It's always been a big pet peeve, right? My buzzer glasses are gone forever because they just randomly fell off, and now they're gone. There's nothing to hold them on. I guess they're supposed to fit behind the ear. I'm going to give you guys a close up look. So I guess it's feasible that they would stay there, but when they take them off, you could see how warped it is. So it's like kind of going to resist it automatically. Let's look at his other hats real quick before his glasses are permanently removed or lost. Here's his leather neck hat, which I do think is a nice look, but it's not very Sarge looking at this point. Like it starts to deviate further, and his glasses are not helping anything. This is probably my favorite one, the beret, because the beret is kind of like it makes me think of the era where Sarge was a villain, and so it makes this figure kind of look like mirror universe Sergeant Slaughter sort of. I like that. I do like that. If I was going to use another hat, this would be it. This is probably about as geared up as my Sarge is going to get, if I'm going to be honest with you. I gave him the pistol because that's what he had in there, and I've put his hat back on in the hopes that it'll keep his glasses on. This is a figure that I'll probably put up, if I'm being honest with you, because the glasses are huge. That's a huge deal for me. I'm very disappointed in that. Mercer, on the other hand, has got much better hidden butterfly joints thanks to that vest. His bicep swivel is here and here. His double pinless arms. Oh, stiff. Everything else is good. Oh, he's got some bend problems. That bracer is going to be an issue. I've got a seized joint over here, but just to show you that they are double pinless, I went with this tattooed arm. It's got pretty good range. For a figure that's as loose in every other way, it's weird that just that specific joint is very tough on both of them. This one is just not. It's only going to bend that one way. And I think that bracer is not helping it. I'm not going to force it, and I'm sure you understand why. He's got our regular swivel here. Got our regular like drop down. A little bit of limited motion compared to Sarge because of that belt, it looks like. But not too bad overall. And then we've got our boot cut. And, man, this is like back in the old days. I disapprove. We were moving in the right direction. This is too stiff for me. I'm gonna end up breaking it. And then we've got our boot cut up and down with some back and forth. Pretty sharp. All right, let's look at the old design. First of all, this mug. Get out of here, man. Is this how you think your Mercer looks? Because maybe from the animated movie I can see it, but once you know that this man's gonna grow a beard, and you could see why if this is his natural face, I just am like he takes on a different personality for me. Now this head, on the other hand, I think this head's getting it done. I like this. This looks really good. He's just like he doesn't have to be emoting. He's got the like great. I mean, it's like simple but good detailing. Everything looks in place. That like crazy flat top esque looking hairstyle is all there. He looks. This is solid. I mean, he looks really good. I talked about this on our regular show, but the fact that a line that is filled with people that have tattoos, and the one character that notoriously has a very iconic tattoo from the movie has had it downgraded to just a patch, as if he had it laser removed at some point. But it is mysteriously missing from his body now. But the No Cobra logo is still there on this red vest. This red vest is not split down the middle, so taking it off will require surgery that's permanent. And it looks like he's probably just bare chested underneath. So, I don't think you're really missing out on anything. Unless that's where that tattoo's hidden. Somebody else will have to discover that. The red vest is a standard Mercer style. He's got some pouches here. We saw the logo. He's got a little pistol holster that goes around. Back of the vest is just kind of plain Jane. On the arms, he's just got bare arms because we already know he's got no shirt on underneath. He's got one bracer on this hand, and there's really nothing special about it other than it matches his original figure. And then we've got some kind of like brass knuckles or some kind of like fisticuff design. This arm is missing the bracer, but everything else is pretty much there. You've got the red knuckles instead. He's got his little clock that says, looks like 1. We've got it on upside down. But more importantly, we want to look at these tattoos. Okay, so tattoo number 1 looks like a spider. And I don't know the significance of that. It looks like a very large spider. I can't remember what that would have to do with Mercer. And then down here on his elbow, notoriously known as the worst place to get a tattoo, by the way, because it will not heal right and it'll fade quickly. He's got like a cobweb and it's got a skull caught in it. I'm not sure what all this spider stuff's about. Maybe I'm forgetting a reference. But if you know why spiders, let me know. It's me, Peter Parker. No. The belt is very thick, as we established, because it limits mobility, but he's got some bullets here. He's got a couple of like two buckles. I guess it's a double belt. There's a small like ammo pouch here, and then just some regular stuff that's kind of going around. And the jeans are about the same, right? We've got his classic blue jeans. Looks like this one's rotated around. It's a Rubik's Cube. No, that's not right. Wait a minute. Wait just 1 minute. Okay, that was tripping me out for a second, but now I can see what the design is. The gray line goes down and is broken by this little pouch here, and then there's a unbroken line that goes on the inside. I thought for sure I'd gotten 2 right legs, and I was getting ready to light them up so fast y'all wouldn't even know what to do. There's the same design that goes on over here. Oh, he's got a little holster for his knife right there at the bottom, and it's in red for some odd reason. Maybe those are extra bullets. Nah, just a design choice. Black boots with that little piece on the end, and that's it. I mean, he looks good, honestly. I wouldn't expect him to look much different than this. I don't want him to be modernized. This is what I wanted, and this is what I got, so I'm happy with that. Let's see if he lives up to it when he's geared up. I do want to show you what he looks like with the shades in case you're into that. I will. It's so funny because these work perfectly fine. They fit over his ear. They stay on. No hat required. No issue. Too bad Mercer doesn't wear these. There's no way I'm going to use them. It's just like the Leatherneck figure all over again. It's a perfectly fine addition, but it just takes away from it. It makes him look less like Mercer, and I just can't abide that. One other thing I want to point out before we look at Mercer all geared up is these guns also suffer from gumminess. They're a little bit too malleable for me, but unlike other stuff that we've seen recently, I did not get anything other than those glasses that's warped. So I think they get a pass, at least. I mean, like, I don't care what they're made out of as long as they stay straight on. This is what I'm going for. He's got the pistol, which I put in there. He's got the knife that I put in here. I don't really want any of the other stuff. I've never been a big backpack guy because I feel like it makes him too bulky and takes up too much room in my display case. And I went with the most realistic weapon that they have because I think that's just what I'm going for. But I have no issue with any of those other guns. They all look cool, and I might distribute them to other Joes and Cobras that need, just better looking weapons overall. I know we're running long, but let's take a real quick look at Sarge's and Mercer's from the past. Because this version of Sarge is not really based on any other version of Sergeant Slaughter that I'm aware of, that we have a figure of, instead of comparing him to older Sergeant Slaughters, I thought we would first take a look at the classified Sergeant Slaughter. And, there's not a lot of substantial changes here. The glasses are different, and hey, these are on, but the face overall is basically the same. The hat is a very similar color of brown. And obviously we've got 2 different shirts. This is just the more iconic look. This is what we're used to. This is the Sergeant Slaughter. And then this is just like desert version. What I do want to show you is this figure. This is the Valor vs. Venom Desert Patrol Squad 6-pack, which came out in 2004 and I think was sold exclusively through Toys R Us. That's where I got mine for sure. And it was the first thing I thought of when I saw this Sarge. And it's not exactly right. And I get that it is probably based off of an existing camo that already exists like in the military. But I do think they're very similar looking, other than this is orange and that's got brown. All the other hits are there. So that's the first thing it made me think of, is that they would fit in pretty well with that 6-pack, or maybe that's something that's coming down the road that would be a tremendous deep cut, but it's a possibility. Mercer, on the other hand, we can kind of look through his evolution. I'll put him here as the end of the line, and here's the origin of the species. Mercer V1 came as a part of a 3-pack back when the movie was released. My Mercer has got a little bit of wear. That's a pretty recurring theme with me. You can see that back then it was orange instead of red. But all the hits are here, right? We've got the holster. We've got the 2-packs. Where's his tattoo? Is there no tattoo on this figure either? Have I gone insane? I guess I could have sworn that Mercer had the tattoo that's in the movie. The same gray stripe that we talked about, it's broken on his, and there's a inner gray line on the newer figure, but not on this one. And everything else is pretty much right where you'd expect. I mean, like, this face does, I think, really does translate into that face. So I'm pleased with that. The missing link, if you will, between these two is the modern figure. This was part of a 7-pack of Slaughter's Marauders, which came with the 3 original guys and then 3 repaints. And wouldn't you know it, this once again is a pretty prominent stepping stone between original and classified. The vest has changed from orange to red, and that has carried over. Look at that big thick belt. I think that's also probably moved over. They kept the bracer idea here, one black glove, one nothing, so they've added that. He still has a glove over here so he doesn't look like a fashion fool, but the same concept is here. They had 2 bracers here, and they've lost them. The pants are the same. No gray line. That's a misstep, so I'm glad they reconnected with that. But they did take the black kneecaps and move those over, so that's nice. Back then he was called Mercenary because they hadn't figured out that they needed to put his full name on there. I'm glad they got rid of this thing, too. And there's the, like, G.I. Joe logo. And see this one, maybe this is the one I was thinking of. This is the Cobra logo that I would expect, and that's correct. I mean, it should be in that. It's more up on his bicep, but you get the idea. At least they tried. This head mold is dirty, first of all. This head mold is pretty good, actually. It looks a little maybe too modern, but they tried to keep the hair crazy, which I think is something of a trademark for him, honestly. So those are my thoughts on the Sergeant Slaughter Mercer 2-pack. You're paying about $10 extra if you do the math on it, because it's about, I think it was $59.99. So you're paying $10 extra based, and you do get quite a bit of accessories. All the guns were fine. The extra heads are good. Like, there's really nothing included here that, other than the Sarge himself, there's really nothing included in this set that I think is waste. I think the alternate hats will give you some options to mess around with the Sarge if you want him to look completely different. You could theoretically remove the Sarge head and put like a grunt style head, give him one of those hats, and then he could be anybody. I'm always trying to repurpose figures that I don't have room for in my display case, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I'd love to hear your thoughts on these figures. Does your Sarge's glasses stay on? Would you like to trade with an entrepreneurial podcast host that can't afford to buy a second set? What are you using this Sarge for if you already have other Sarges? Or do you think this is the best of the lot? I'd like to hear some thoughts on what I could do with this Sarge other than just put him away. The Mercer will go straight, and the Mercer will be deployed immediately. And I think the practical follow-up would be another 2-pack that has Red Dog and Taurus in it, because we're going to need them. We've almost completed the whole like movie exclusive set at this point, so that's what I'd see down the line. Anyway, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to talking to you in our next video, where anything's available for discussion here on Anything Joe's.